This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Only Friends podcast. You know, I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Matt Berkey. What's poppin', Berk?
Man, that's shot.
I
I like you over there. I like me here. I like you over there.
You just want your seat back.
I did want my seat back.
You feel so much more comfortable.
I
over
also
there?
want my saddle back.
And that's what it is. It's mainly the saddle.
Wait, Landon has your saddle?
I took it to go to the Venetian, and then I left it in my backpack, and I knew it was in my backpack, and I'm sorry.
It's okay. I forgive you.
Thank you.
Oh, man. We have a pretty big show today. A lot of stuff happened over the last 24 hours. So before I get to that, I want to give a huge shout out to this month's sponsor, WPT Global. They are giving away the house, a new startup, rest of world site. They are giving away a guaranteed seat to the WPT Championship, 15 million guarantee at the win every single day, 7 days a week. And on Sunday, they give away 8. I'm also a bounty in that Sunday satellite. So this Sunday will be your final opportunity to knock me out and get a 550 ticket, as well as win one of the remaining 8 seats that they give away that day for the WPT Championship at the Win. Got to get in there. Insane value. All of these tournaments overlay. I played last night. I think it overlaid by like half a seat.
Is this the last week of them giving seats away?
Tentatively. They're hinting around at potentially extending it through the holidays.
I see. Maybe some holiday giveaways.
Yeah, maybe a little splash pot here and there. Who knows?
Wow, like the splash pots for Florida when they gave away seats to their main.
Yeah.
Wait, oh yeah? That was a thing?
That was
a while
the thing,
ago.
yeah. The first year Seminole Hard Rock did the big guarantee. I think it was
SHRPO.
Yeah, I think it was either 5 or 10 million. They were basically taking like bad beat jackpot money and just throwing it in 1-2 tables, saying like splash pot. You get a seat.
That's actually kind of genius.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. Also, I want to announce that we have a new course out on S4Y TV today. It is by 2 Card Confidence. If you guys aren't familiar, please head over and check out his YouTube page. It's really, really dope stuff that he's putting out. Love the way that he approaches the game and the way that he's creating content. We have a bit of a preview for that course.
On the flop, you decide where you will be going throughout the rest of the hand, and having a clear understanding of what the options are is one of the biggest advantages you can have in poker. We'll go through different types of flops and come up with easy to apply principles that tell you which approach is optimal for which type of flop. In the second part, we will cover how this factor of good and bad flops results in the action we take as a c-better.
Okay, let me be the first to say that was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
A lot of things are going on.
A lot of things happening.
Yeah, you take the magic of pigtails and the creativity of 2 Card Confidence, and we get ourselves a nice little pre-flop, post-flop type of strategy video. Really excited for this one. We haven't done nearly enough to promote it. Right now the time zones don't work because I believe he's in Thailand, but he'll be in Europe next month. So I want to get him on the pod. I want to introduce him to the community, as well as have him do a mastermind in the near future. But the course is fantastic. It's really all about developing c-bet strategies around board textures, and I can't recommend it enough. So if you haven't already, head to solve4y.io, sign up. You get a free 2-week trial. You can try the course, see if you enjoy it. Plenty of other stuff to poke around and check out if you like what you see.
Yeah, that was really good.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, getting to today's show. Big kind of, not a big breaking story worldwide, but for the poker community, it's kind of a nuisance at a minimum, an attack at a worst case scenario. It appears yesterday that a lot of high profile professionals were kind of announcing on Twitter that they have these charges from BetMGM that they don't even have an account for. So Joey Chong was one. I believe Kinda was another. And Todd Witteles, who's our guest today, was seemingly the one who was most in the know and had been digging into this for a long period of time. He put up a lengthy post on pokerfraudalert.com, his forum, basically combing through all the details of where the breach took place, how all of this came to be, who is most likely to be a victim, and things of that sort. Rather than having you guys read all of this, we just decided to get the man himself on here today. So Todd has been a member of the community for the better part of 20 years. He does his own podcast called Poker Fraud Radio, which is very long-standing. I'm not even sure how long you've been doing it now. 15 years, maybe?
Well, I've actually been doing it now for about 10 and a half. Feels like 15, though.
Yeah.
And we're actually, I think, the second longest poker podcast out there. I think only Bernard Lee's show is longer running than ours. But anyway, I'd like to thank you for bringing me on here and giving exposure to this topic. The more that this is exposed, the more that this is discussed on social media and on YouTube, then the more likely it is that action will be taken on the other end to solve this issue. Because it's not just the fact that money was stolen, it's also the fact that this is a huge security hole that jeopardizes the bankrolls and the identities of poker pros. And when you hear the whole story, you're going to be shocked that on legalized and regulated sites that such a thing can happen.
Right. Yeah, I do notice that, these types of daily shows, they're driven by controversy and things of that nature. But what I have come to notice over the last year is when we draw attention to these things, it's rarely actually resolving the problem at hand. And it's more so exposing kind of the back end flaws that allowed the problem to occur. I read the entire forum thread. You did a great job. It's very thorough. Why don't you kind of start us at the beginning and tell us like how you first come to realize that you had been stolen from and the leads that you started to dig into?
All right. So about a week and a half ago, I was just sitting on my computer late at night and going through my bank statement, just mundane stuff. And then I see what you just don't ever want to see. Your heart just sinks. You just feel a ball in the pit of your stomach. You see an unauthorized charge on your bank statement, not your credit card statement. That's less disturbing, but actually money directly stolen out of my bank account. And it wasn't just money, it was $10,000. And I'm like, oh my God, I've never had a theft like that before in my life. Now, that's not devastating money to me, but it's still $10,000. That's
Sure.
Still a very big deal that would just get stolen. And then a lot of things run through your head, like, what the hell is this? How did this happen? What's coming next? How much info does this person have about me? How do they manage this? So I really, really was stressed out the second I saw that. And also I was wondering, was this aimed just at me, or was I part of a greater scam? Was I one of many victims that just hadn't come forward yet? Now, I searched around at the time and I did not see anyone discussing this online. So I made the decision for the moment to start my own investigation to figure out what was going on, because I'm pretty good at doing this sort of thing. In fact, I run Poker Fraud Alert, so at least I'm pretty equipped to be able to look into these type of matters. So I figured, okay, I'm not going to say anything now because I don't want to spook the person who's doing it in case they're leaving some clues behind and they don't know I'm onto them. So I figured I won't say anything until I either get enough information to expose this or others come forward anyway. So the latter is what occurred. Joseph Chiang came forward yesterday, and at that point, obviously, it was time to come out with all of my own information, and I had a head start on everybody else for two reasons. Number one is I was one of the first victims. I thought I might be the first victim, but someone contacted me today, a pretty big name in poker. I don't want to say who he is because I'm not sure if he wants it out there, but he contacted me and told me he was victimized on October 12th, and that's the earliest one I've heard of. Mine was October 20th. Most of them have been in November. Some of them have been within the last few days. So this is ongoing, and I will explain in a second what has been happening. So what I saw in my statement was a $10,000 charge from BetMGM LLC. This was not a credit card charge. This was an e-check. This was direct debit from my bank account for $10,000, the same way it would if you were to go on any legalized gambling site and do an e-check, and that's a common way of deposit. So I thought, okay, I've never had a BetMGM account, and that's the first problem. The second problem is I don't think it's coincidence. I don't think it's coincidence that I am a gambler, that I'm a poker player, and that the form of theft was through a gambling site. So I figured that I was probably targeted in some way. Also, the average American doesn't have $10,000 just sitting in their account, at least not their checking account. So this was probably someone who knew that I was likely to have $10,000 in that account. So I thought it was probably targeted in that way as well. So that was what I had to go on at the moment. And I did a lot of research, made a lot of phone calls. I will say the telephone customer support for BetMGM is horrendous. It's offshore. They don't want to tell you much. It was very hard to get them to understand the gravity of the situation. Even when they did, they didn't want to help me. All they wanted to do was protect the identity of the scammer, which is amazing. Like, I'm the only Todd Witteles in the world. And I'm giving them all of my personal information, which verifies I'm the same person. And they won't give me information to protect the identity of the scammer, which is insane. But anyway, an account on BetMGM was set up in my name, BetMGM West Virginia, because they have different BetMGMs around the country.
Right.
Each
territory. It's just like online poker. Yeah.
Right. So this one that stole the $10,000 was made in my name in West Virginia. And after a lot of prodding, I finally got some information. It was made in my name with my date of birth, my last four of my social at the very least, my address. The email address used was not my email because they didn't want me notified about it. So they used a fake email that was made to look like it would be my email with my name in it, but it was not my email, and with a phone number in the San Diego area, which I didn't recognize. So that was the information on the account. It was made on October 20th. And here's the unbelievable part. So the account was made October 20th. Also on October 20th, they withdrew $10,000 from my bank account. They deposited $10,000 in one shot from my bank account on the same day of the account creation. And the most unbelievable thing is the same day as well, October 20th, they withdrew 7,500 of that 10,000 without ever playing, without ever betting,
right,
to a different account. And that was the scam. It was a deposit and cash out scam.
Any idea why it was only, any idea why it was only 7,500 and not the full 10K?
I don't know why that was only 7,500. I've wondered that too.
Yeah.
But 7,500 was withdrawn immediately. Didn't play. In fact, in order to bet on BetMGM West Virginia, you have to physically be standing in West Virginia. Mm-hmm. And presumably the scammer here was not, because I found out later this has been taking place in multiple states regarding the platforms being used. So this was all done from the comfort of this person's home. And they probably were not in West Virginia, so they probably couldn't place any bets. But that didn't matter because you didn't have to place any bets, apparently. On the same day, you can deposit $10,000 from someone else's account, impersonating them, and then withdraw $7,500 to a different account, which is a huge security flaw, huge. I can't believe this is even allowed. And this is huge negligence on the part of both BetMGM and the payment processor, which is known as Global Payments. So then I went to go trace what happened to the $7,500 once it was withdrawn. Where did it go? I figured it had to be in my name, and it was. So it was withdrawn to a Venmo debit MasterCard, which you can get if you start a Venmo account. You can get a debit MasterCard in your name, and it has an account number on it, and apparently it can receive money. So it received the $7,500 in a phony Venmo account, also made in my name. I already have a Venmo, but it had nothing to do with my existing Venmo. They made a second Venmo with that same bogus information, with the same email, same phone number, and they sent the $7,500 to that. Then they sent in 3 increments, about like $1,900, $2,000 each, to another account in another name, and they won't tell me which name it was. I spoke to Venmo, and then the same day, this is all October 20th, Venmo got suspicious and froze the account, which currently has $2,600 left in it. Mm-hmm. Then on November 4th, they took the other $2,500 out in a similar fashion, though I don't know exactly where that went on Venmo. It went to a different Venmo.
Right.
But that's basically what occurred. This is a deposit cash out scam. And you're probably wondering, how can this happen? How could they have pulled this off? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I wondered, how is it this easy? How is it this easy to just grab 10K out of my account? And after a lot of research into the matter, and we even had a person show up on my forum to help me out and explain some things I didn't know. It's amazing how easy this is. And it's a tremendous security flaw. And the fact that this exists on licensed and regulated gambling sites that are supposed to protect the consumer is amazing. So anyway, there's a company called Global Payments, and they process the payments for most of the online gambling sites, the legalized one I'm talking about. I'm not referring to Bet Online and
Correct.
Bovada. I'm talking about the legal ones, BetMGM, WSOP.com, ones like that.
Yep.
They do it for most of them. So when you, at least for the e-checks part, I don't know the credit cards part, I've never used credit cards on gambling sites, but if you do an e-check, Global Payments is the one processing it through a service they call VIP Preferred.
Mhm.
And you'll see this on most of these legalized gambling sites, a VIP Preferred option. Now, here's where the tremendous flaw exists. If you've done it once, then the verification is basically over. The very first time you do an e-check through VIP Preferred, provided by Global Payments, on any site, they'll put you through a pretty rigorous check to make sure that, number one, you're who you say you are, and number two, that you have the funds to be able to deposit at the limits you're depositing. And they do this by a credit check and whatever other info they have that they have access to basically build a profile on you when you make a new account and deposit with them for the first time. They establish limits based upon those factors. Anyway, once you've gone through all that, then it's all established. And the problem with that is that given that it's all established, once somebody impersonates you on another site using Global Payments, which is almost all of them, then they can very easily make a deposit using the same banking information without even knowing it. So all they have to do to get access to your banking information and to steal out of your account is to register a new account in your name with your address, with your last four of your social, not even the full social, and with your date of birth. And if this matches Global Payments records, then they actually get a drop down where they can pick which bank account that you've used in the past that you'd like to withdraw from. And that's exactly what the scammer did. So the scammer, all he needed to have about me was my full name, my last four of my social, my date of birth, and my address. With that, he could make unlimited accounts and keep withdrawing from the bank accounts I've used in the past on sites like WSOP.com.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. Let's start with the loophole in the payment processing first, because I want everybody who is on these sites to protect themselves accordingly. My first question is, do you know if this is a vulnerability specific with the payment processor or if it's a two-factor thing with the client as well? Because I know that when I went to play WSOP Pennsylvania when they first launched, I had to resubmit all of the stuff that you're talking about. I had to resubmit my driver's license. I had to resubmit my bank account information, all of these things to get set up for payment processor. But as you mentioned, they use the VIP Preferred. So once I was able to resubmit and everything, I was immediately back to my normal deposit limits and able to fund my accounts. I wonder if that was a WSOP protocol or if perhaps it was the global processor.
That's a good question. And it has to do with two factors. It has to do with the state regulations. So, for example, BetMGM, with as negligent as they have been in this situation, in Nevada, this can't be pulled off because if you try to make a new Nevada account for BetMGM, it demands that you do a cell phone camera picture of your driver's license right on the spot.
Right.
So the scammer wouldn't be able to pull this off unless he really was pretty advanced and had that information on you. So that's probably a Nevada requirement because BetMGM in other states does not require this. I tried a test with New York and it worked exactly like I just described.
Okay.
The only reason that further money couldn't be deposited was because my limit has been hit because the maximum has been stolen from me in this 30-day period.
Right.
But anyway, regarding your question about WSOP, this also could be internal procedures they have where they require these things. I don't think it's a coincidence that it looks like, so far from what's been reported to me, all of the theft has been done from one of three platforms: BetMGM, Borgata, New Jersey Sportsbook, which I think is associated with BetMGM, and then Viejas Casino in San Diego. And that one threw me for a loop because Viejas Casino San Diego, that's in California. California does not have any form of legalized online gambling. You can't do online poker, you can't do online sports betting, nothing. So I'm thinking, wait a minute, why is Viejas involved here? Well, it turns out that Viejas has a cashless gaming system where if you come down there, you can use some kind of card that you load up beforehand, to gamble
wow.
with instead of having to bring cash over there. Viejas is an Indian casino in the greater San Diego area.
Mm-hmm.
So they use global payments also, and they also have VIP preferred. So whoever's been doing it has been using Viejas for some people and BetMGM for others and Borgata for even others. For me, they tried to create 2 more accounts, another one on BetMGM, this time Pennsylvania, and then a Borgata in New Jersey. But either because of the limits being hit or because I caught them fast enough, because these came in within the past week, these new accounts, nothing further happened to me. But I think that the individual doing it is very familiar with which sites have these checks and which ones don't. Right.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like this is, when you break it down to all the detail, obviously it seems like it's an easy thing to pull off, but it seems like it requires a lot of sharpness or understanding of all the backdoor security flaws in order to actually move forward. With everything that you've uncovered thus far, do you believe that this was some sort of data breach that took place at the global payment gaming solutions level? Do you think that this is perhaps somebody who maybe was able to just target you and other gamblers that they were chancing were on these sites to begin with, like by buying information off the dark web? I'm basically trying to figure out like how the parallels all work out here. Like if you do not have a BetMGM site account anywhere, does being on WSOP, like, is that just enough where they could potentially get your data?
Definitely. So first of all, I want to point out that almost all of the victims I know of so far are people who are at least somewhat known in poker. There's been 1 or 2 people that I hadn't heard of before that came forward to me and told me that they had been victimized. The rest of them were known or semi-known players. In fact, there's a few pretty big names that were hit by this. And I'm not going to say them right now because they didn't give me permission to state this, and I don't want to give away their business when they may not want this out there. But anyway, I think at least 25 poker pros have been hit by this. It's possible a lot more. This is only been like 24 hours since it's been made public. So people are slowly trickling in to let me know this happened to them. And then there's some who aren't on Twitter and aren't following this and don't even know that this is being discussed. So I do believe that this is both someone with extensive knowledge of how global payment systems works and also someone who has access to data that was provided to them. It is possible, since the amount of information you need is not a whole lot. You just need a person's date of birth, the last 4 of their social, their full name, and their address, and this can possibly be bought about a lot of people on the dark web. Mm-hmm. However, you need more than that, because you need to know that this person probably has deposited with an e-check in the past, and it just doesn't seem to me that there's some random who bought this in the dark web without knowledge of global payments procedures and which companies are using them. Like the fact that Viejas was used is very significant to me, because you'd never think of Viejas. If someone told me to pull off this scam and they explained the vulnerability, I'll tell you one thing I wouldn't even think of using, that would be Viejas. I wouldn't even think of a California casino, because as I said, California does not have online gambling. So the fact that someone knew to use Viejas here as one of the vehicles to commit this fraud means that to me, it seems like they're very knowledgeable about global payments. And all it takes is one bad employee there who knows about this flaw, knows how easy it is, maybe even as a copycat. Maybe they saw someone else pull this off and said, wait a minute, this would be a great way for me to steal. And then they did it a lot better. It does to me seem like that they just knew of various names in poker and figured, okay, let's look up these people in the global payment system and see if they've used it. I think that's the way it was targeted, because I'm not going to say the name, but one of the people who was victimized, a known player, had not deposited very much in the past. And apparently, for whatever reasons, their limits were low. Mm-hmm. So they were only hit for $50. So if they were only going through names of the biggest depositors or something, then they wouldn't have hit this person. They hit this person because they were a known player and probably looked them up. And then maybe the $50 was a test deposit or something to establish more. Right. I don't know exactly the purpose of the $50, but this person had only deposited $250 on WSOP in the past. Mm-hmm. And that'll bring me to answer your next question. If you played on WSOP.com and you deposited with an e-check, that is where it directly debits money out of your checking or savings account, then that's enough to hit you. Now, if you're a known or semi-known name in poker, then you're much more likely to have been hit by this, and you should definitely check the bank statement associated with that account. But even if you're not a known name, if you've used WSOP.com, if you used BetMGM, if you used any of these legalized gambling sites and made an e-check deposit at any point, doesn't have to even be recent, then they could easily have victimized you, because Global Payments has this information on you. When you sign up and you deposit with an e-check, you give them your social,
right.
You give them your address, you give them your date of birth. So it's all right there. So someone who has access to that there and then knows this flaw, how they can get away with exploiting it, can easily get you. As you see, I'm someone who's an expert on fraud and scams, and I've been around online poker for actually over 20 years. And still, they got me for $10,000 before I even knew what was happening.
Yeah. Go ahead, Conrad.
Hey, Todd, what's up? It's Conrad. Couple questions.
Hi.
What date was the Venmo account open on?
Well, it was that magical October 20th, all the same day.
All in the same day, and they were able to get a card immediately?
Apparently, that's what Venmo told me, that it was opened October 20th and that all of this was done October 20th. I'm guessing they probably issued some sort of account number that they can use, so they don't have to be holding the physical card. I've never generated a Venmo debit MasterCard. I had to follow a long trail back to even figure out what happened here and how they got the money off. So this is all kind of new to me on Venmo, how you do all this. But apparently they must have gotten it really quickly, because they did it all in the same day.
Wow, crazy. Also, does it seem like everybody's like the limits are being maxed out for the deposits for everybody?
I'm pretty sure they're taking whatever they can. The site may have internal limits. I noticed in my test, when I attempted to test it for myself, my limits were 25,000, and yet they stole 10,000. So they must have seen 25,000. My bank account didn't have 25,000. They didn't tell me at BetMGM that there was any attempt to deposit more than 10 first. Maybe 10 is the magical number to where there'll be fewer checks and balances there. Maybe that's the maximum. Yeah. As far as I've seen, nobody's been hit for more than 10. I know Joseph Chiang was hit for 9,800, which is very close to it. But it also says that my maximum was hit, though. I don't know if it's because they locked my account, but on my test yesterday with making a new account, even though it said my limit was 25,000, after the 10, it's not letting me do a deposit. So
it might
I'm
be
not
like
sure if the 10.
Yeah, it might be like a monthly, weekly limit or something like that.
Yeah, it could be something like that.
Okay.
Hey, Todd, it seems like there weren't like protocol. Like, seems like these protocols are already in place for so many other sites. Like, for instance, when you you deposit somewhere and then you withdraw, especially immediately, it has to go back to the same place. So like if you took it out of your bank account, then it has to go right back to the bank account. It seems like a big flaw in BetMGM's security system.
Not necessarily just BetMGM. It's global, correct?
Okay. Is it? Yeah. Is that a global thing or is that a BetMGM thing?
Yeah, it's kind of both, but it's mostly Global Payments. This is a tremendous flaw. I cannot believe that they were dumb enough to design it like this.
Right. I know if you were to do this on WSOP, though, you wouldn't be able to get the money off because they're going to ask you for a picture of that credit card immediately. Like, they won't approve the transaction until you send in, like, your new documents.
They give you a token. They give you all kinds.
Yeah, you have to send in your new documents. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, in fact, WSOP has kind of the opposite problem. There was a controversy a few years ago when journalist John Mahaffey had deposited some money, played there, and then after playing, I don't know, for 2 weeks, he wanted to withdraw, and he got an email that he can't withdraw. He hasn't played enough. And he said, no, by Nevada law, I can, and he got in a big fight with them. So he actually had a fight with them about withdrawing his own money legitimately, that they said he hadn't played enough. Here we've got the opposite. We're on BetMGM. You could put in $10K to a new account on the first day and then withdraw without ever playing three-quarters of it to a different account.
That's actually somewhat comforting because if I understand it correctly, according to like money laundering law, they shouldn't allow that level of money washing, so to speak, where you just deposit withdraw type of behavior. I mean, it sucks that he had to go through the, like, you didn't quote unquote play enough, but I know that even like ACR is this way, where if somebody sends you money and you want to just cash it out in Bitcoin, you can't. So they like won't let you basically wash money into crypto that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, with sites like ACR, they have more of a motivation from a financial standpoint.
Correct.
Because they don't want to pay to process the whole thing if it's just going to be, they're going to be used like as a bank. But you are correct that they do have to be careful that money laundering isn't taking place, and that is one way it could. But just from a security standpoint, to allow not only the withdrawal on the same day as the deposit for a large amount of money, but to allow it to be sent to a different account, I mean, that is a tremendous security flaw, as is allowing anyone with such basic personal information on you to impersonate you and get a drop down with your bank account you've used in the past. And this is not if you've saved the bank account for future use. This is if you've used the bank accounts, it's just in the system. And okay, which bank account would you like to use? Okay, I'll use this one and take $10,000. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and they don't even verify the bank account. Like usually it's like they'll deposit like, you know, make two small deposits under $1, then you have to verify it. So the only person that has access to that bank account can know what that deposit is, and then that's how they verify that it's that bank account. They didn't even do that.
Yeah, they didn't. The problem was they felt they completed the verification at the beginning, the very first time I deposited on WSOP.com years ago. So they're like, okay, we're good. Every time we see Todd, okay, we know it's him, so we'll just let him deposit and withdraw at will.
It seems like every, you know, whether it's BetMGM or it's a different poker site, anytime it's a new site, you should have to re-verify that bank account that you're using.
Well, I think the better, and we can discuss like a path moving forward here shortly. Like I'll ask a question on the back end of this, but I think a better approach here is just to have 2FA, right? Like it's not about, it's fine if Global is a singular payment processor and you can uniformly use them. That's fine. Like, you know, I use Google Pay or Apple Pay everywhere. I don't have to verify store by store whenever I want to utilize it, right?
Right.
So that's based off of the security aspect of 2FA, right? Like I physically have my phone on me when I'm using Google Pay. If I don't and I still want to use Google Pay, then I have to resubmit like the last 4 digits of the credit card number and the CVC number on the back, as well as like, you know, get a text message and verify that code.
Right.
So it seems like the lack of 2FA in this particular instance is what's making them vulnerable. With what you've researched thus far, you know, you're at the point of conflict resolution for yourself. What are the next steps? Like, what are you doing to try to resolve this? Try to recoup your money if at all possible. Who are you holding accountable? What are the next steps?
Okay, good question. So before this even was made public, I already went to law enforcement, and a financial crimes detective is already investigating this with the information I gave him. And of course, when it came out yesterday that so many other victims existed in this scam, I brought this to his attention as well, and that's going to probably be helpful. I called the bank immediately, and what they did is they started an investigation, and if it's determined that I really didn't make this withdrawal, which of course I didn't, then they're going to put the money back in my account. Since it's $10,000, it is going to take a few weeks, so I do not have the money back yet. And I don't know where that investigation is. I can tell you that your bank is not going to do a lot of work to figure out what happened here. This is cooked into their profit and loss, and you know, they'll just basically go through and make sure that you're not pulling a fast one on them and by claiming that it wasn't you when it really was. Once they get that, they're satisfied and they close it and they give you your money back. So that's likely to be what happens. It probably is going to come back to me. If it doesn't, obviously I'm going to be pressing pretty hard to make sure it does. I'm not going to just walk away and shrug my shoulders. So anyone who was victimized by this, definitely go to your bank and tell them what happened, and they'll probably give it back to you. Then I am also talking with BetMGM. I could not get anybody in any fraud department on my own. When I tried through their offshore call center, they promised they'd be submitting it to the fraud department and I'd hear from them. I didn't hear from them. Nobody got a hold of me. As I said, their customer support is horrible. However, Joseph Chiang was contacted when he made that tweet. He was contacted by someone at BetMGM Poker. And this doesn't have to do with that BetMGM Poker, but you know, it's all the same thing. And so he got a hold of some people, and then referred them to me, and I spoke to 2 executives there who are looking into this as well. So that's a positive development. They definitely need to make some changes on their end at BetMGM. They cannot allow people to withdraw without playing, withdraw on the same day of deposit, especially for big money. Global Payments has a lot to answer for here, how they could have allowed this to happen just with this very basic information when someone sets up a new account, to allow them to access an existing bank account that's in the system without any further verification. Also, it absolutely should never be allowed that a deposit and withdrawal can be made to different accounts on the same day. The fact that that is allowed on either Global Payments end or BetMGM's end is crazy. So a lot has to be changed. A lot has to be looked at. I do think there's a high chance that this information, because remember, while it's fairly basic information, it's not easily out there. So the average person can't get my last 4 of my social. The average person can't get my date of birth even. So to get all of this information, something had to have been breached. And I think it was probably in the same spot. That's my guess. I can't say for sure, but if I had to guess where this came from, I would say it was probably from Global Payments. So
Right.
I've suggested this to law enforcement. I've shown them everything I've found, and hopefully this, along with the fact that there's other victims, will yield something. If you were victimized and it was more than $1,000, you should go to local law enforcement. If you were hit for a few hundred, you can, but to be honest, they're going to dismiss it because they have a lot to do with law enforcement, and they for small thefts, they're not going to put a lot of resources. But the reason I went for mine is because $10,000 is a lot of money. I thought that would get some attention.
I mean, that's effectively grand theft, correct?
Yeah. So that was why I did it. So if you had 1,000 or more, I would really suggest going to local law enforcement. Don't feel stupid. Don't feel like they'll laugh at you. That they will take it seriously. They will give it to a financial fraud detective who will investigate this, and definitely.
And the case is probably open too, so you're probably just like tacking on to something that's already has momentum.
Well, at this point it will. I think I may have been the first one to bring this to law enforcement, but I was going to say that anybody who wants to link this to my case can get a hold of me. I make my text phone number very public. I use it for my Poker Fraud Alert radio show I do every week, so people can always text me anytime, and that phone number is 775-372-8355, 775-372-8355. If you've been a victim, then let me know. I'll be glad to speak to any law enforcement and explain, what's happening and how the same thing happened to me, and give the contact information of the detective who's investigating this. As far as the dates of when this happened, I thought I was the first one because everybody I was speaking to, it was in November except for me. Joseph Chiang, it happened to him at the very beginning of November, but he was the second earliest. I was the earliest, October 20th, and that was almost 2 weeks apart. I thought maybe someone targeted me first. Maybe it was a listener of my show who thought it'd be funny to hit me first. I was thinking maybe I was kind of patient zero in this whole thing.
Yeah.
However, I got a message today from a pretty big name poker pro who told me it happened to him on October 12th. So I was not the first victim. I was just one of the first victims. And why there's some space between some of these, I don't know, but they've really ramped it up in November. And I imagine this person, if they follow poker closely enough to know all these people to look up and hit, they're probably watching this today. And whoever you are, I'm going to put a lot of effort into finding you. I'm going to put a lot of effort into getting you arrested. And I'm not going to let this go. So this is something that I hope, number one, the perpetrator is found and prosecuted. And number two, even if they're not, then BetMGM, the AHAS, and especially Global Payments, they need to make some major changes immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's abundantly clear that a security hole has been exposed. We're gonna let you get out of here on this one. I think that you did a remarkable job in laying out the problems here. It's been fascinating to hear how you dug through all of this and were able to kind of like pin in on where the actual problem is coming from, where the security breach is happening at the Global Payments Center, and diligently going after people who are targeting this community. I think I speak for all of us that we appreciate this. It's unfortunate that you were a victim, but it's somewhat fortunate in the sense that you have the resources to really put this out there, amplify the message, let people know that we are potential victims, and hopefully get some change done at the institutional level. So, Todd, thank you so much. Really appreciate everything you contributed here.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on here, and hopefully we will have a good resolution of this whole thing. And once again, thank you for using your platform to help get the message out that this is occurring. And again, anybody who has been victimized by this, check your bank statements and get a hold of me. I'm on Twitter. I gave you my phone number a short time ago, and get a hold of me and let me know, because the more information I have, the more victims information I can collect, the higher chance it is that law enforcement will make arrests here.
Yeah, definitely agree. All right, we're going to let you out of here. Thank you so much. You guys can be sure to check out an episode on this on Poker Fraud Alert, I'm sure. Also, be sure to read the thread that Todd created on his forum, Poker Fraud Alert. We'll put those links in the show notes once the show concludes, as well as the phone number that Todd gave. Thanks so much, Todd. Really appreciate all the work that you've done. We'll catch you later.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day, guys.
Thanks, Todd.
Man, it's a little scary when you hear how easy it is.
It's fucking crazy, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, so here's what really bothers me about all of this is that it's a systematic failure, right? So forget BetMGM and WSOP and that casino in San Diego and everybody else that uses global payments gaming systems or solutions rather. Forget them, because they're basically licensing out a third party, right? You hire somebody to do a job and you expect them to do it well. Yeah. At the global payment gaming solutions level, right? This loophole has been created where effectively they're not overseeing or they're not scrutinizing new signups and the use of these profiles, right? Like once a profile is created, it's uniformly created and there's no 2FA. With 2FA, this problem just goes away, right? So the reason why this scares me is because I think Todd's right that it's probably an inside job and somebody probably had access to the global database and was able to find this info, but it's not necessary. We all know who the major poker players are in Nevada and New Jersey. The probability of them having ever deposited through global gaming solutions is pretty high. So anybody who's motivated that wants to go on the dark web and try to get my personal information or Todd's personal information or Negreanu's or whoever else's isn't going to find too much resistance, right? Which means that until this hole in security is closed, we're all just sitting ducks. And as informative as that thread is that Todd took the time to write, and basically inform the community of how vulnerable we all are, it's also a how-to on how to scam us.
It's so true,
right? Like for anybody who wants a quick hit, I mean, you're risking grand theft larceny charges, but it's out there, right? And we really are just sitting ducks. There's nothing we can do. I've already deposited through Global. There's no action I can take to retract that outside of he does eloquently like lay out some steps that you can take, but they're annoying. I would have to close my bank account. Right. I would have to open another one. I don't want to fucking do that.
The wild part is like you laid out the easy solution to this is just 2FA.
Yeah.
It's so fucking wild.
It fixes everything.
Fucking easy.
There are so many things where 2FA should be implemented and is not.
It's
and
wild.
I can't believe that people don't do it.
Well, you know why, Brian? Success is for those who are not willing to abide by the rules, and my man doesn't know shit about 2FA because he ain't about that life.
I actually thought about that when you brought 2FA up during the interview.
Successful people are willing to break the rules, of course.
I was like, well, some people don't. I was going to say, I almost said
2FA is for rule abiders, Brian. Okay.
I was going to say, can you explain 2FA? Because there's some people out there that don't understand what it is.
Two-factor authentication.
That's right.
That's
Use
right.
it.
I really want to know, is this guy claiming deposit bonuses on all these fucking deposits too?
It wouldn't matter. You're laughing, but like it wouldn't matter because he's not playing.
Right.
You couldn't clear any bonuses.
This might be a naive question, but could you call Global and ask them to like scrub all your information? Like because of everything that's happening right now?
I would guess you can do that. I would also guess that they won't. It's just like anything else. Once you click the TOCs box and you willfully give up your information, your data, it's
hard to get it.
Bro, your
to get rid of
social
it.
is out there, man. Your social security number is fucking out there.
I wonder if there is anything, like if they would even pick up the phone or respond. Like, because they just deal with the third party. They don't care about, like, I don't think there's like any connection between the customer and Global.
So it's just Global and WSOP or Global
Correct.
And BetMGM.
Correct.
Part of the whole scam I don't fully understand yet is how did they actually get the money, right? Because so they put it into a separate Venmo,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but then like shouldn't there be an easy paper trail to this person? Because eventually
No.
that Venmo has to go. How do they get the money off of Venmo to themselves?
So what they're doing is immediately opening up a fucking Venmo MasterCard,
Okay.
where that MasterCard they get online basically. So they're getting the numbers immediately,
Okay.
and then they can do whatever with that.
Yeah, they just spend it.
They can spend it. They can transfer it somewhere. They can do.
Well, you wouldn't
hold
want to
on.
transfer it to like PayPal or
Yeah.
no,
or
because
even
once
a
you
bank account.
you
Right.
can't transfer it to anything that's linked to you.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right. So like I guess so you could use that debit card, but don't you?
Probably, honestly, they probably just.
know.
I would.
They always
I
say
would
there's-
almost guarantee that they just bought thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of
Merchandise?
of Amazon cards.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I was gonna say
yeah.
just sell
That's
it
as good
online.
as cash.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
You can sell it online as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Amazon cards. I think you get like 70% or 7.
I'm sure
7
there's
cents on the
sites.
dollar?
There's sites that you can sell gift cards for cash.
Right.
There's
Yeah,
ways,
but like you don't even need to go that length.
of course not. You can just use it on Amazon and then ship it somewhere else
Oh, I
and
see what
pick it up
you're
from
saying.
somewhere else.
Yeah, there's just a million things you can do. Like Amazon cards are literally as good as dollars.
Yeah.
In today's day and age, and that's the easiest way. Like, there's just nothing to trace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure you could even use like Amazon cards to buy prepaid debit cards, or you could just buy prepaid debit cards. Like,
Yeah.
there's just a million ways to
not
facilitate this.
Trace yourself.
You can also just get it out of the fucking bank when the Venmo debit card comes. You can literally just go to an ATM.
Oh, like you actually get the physical debit card.
Yeah, like just that day you'll get
Yeah.
the numbers, but
Yeah.
you'll
Correct.
eventually
But they
get
would
the
also
card.
have to put an address in.
Yeah, that means an address as well, yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's gonna be Fugazi.
Yeah,
It's gonna
come
be
on.
his address.
No, but then how do you get the actual card?
Oh, you see,
Right. How do you get the
mean
physical
physically mailed
card?
to you?
Right.
Maybe
So
a
you
PO
can go to
box?
an ATM.
Yeah, PO box.
Yeah,
I'm
what
not
you
sure.
said, Burke, makes perfect sense. Where like they're just somehow using the number on the card to buy.
Here's what
gift
I know
cards.
about criminals. I've been around the dark side long enough. Christians taught me the ways. If it comes down to you physically have the money in hand and need to find a way to legalize it, that process is not as hard as getting the money in hand.
Yeah, it's like 20%.
Yeah, I mean, it's like only if you're dumb enough to create a screen name Ocean Spray 25 and try to sell fucking Bellagio cranberries on the internet are you gonna fuck up and get
Ocean
caught.
Spray.
But like, you know, everybody else who would have had, you know, a few million in crayons there would have found a way to not go broke and not end up in
do
jail.
Dumb stuff. Yeah.
Apparently, you could just fucking rob casinos nowadays and just get away with it. I don't know.
I mean, honestly, that's always been the case. The getting away with it part's a little bit tricky, but like they're not going to fight you. They're not interested in having a gunfight in a casino. Like they'll let you walk in, they'll let you take their chips, and
Then it's manhunt.
And then from that point on, like, yeah, you're on your own. You're playing the game, buddy. It's Ready Player One. You know, like
that makes a lot of sense.
your job is to skirt the law and figure out a way to cash these chips out, and their job is to fucking wait.
Yep.
They're just gonna sit and wait for the dude who showed up in a taxi cab to come back and say like, "Oh, I just happen to have a bunch of Resorts World chips."
Let me tell you something about this dude that called the cab and went inside, robbed them. He got left with a bag of cash.
Oh,
He didn't even leave with chips. So the story
this
basically.
guy might be scot-free.
Last week, a man called a cab, or was inside a taxi, had the taxi wait for him outside, and then he went to the cashier, handed the cashier a letter stating, you know, give me money. She hands him a big bag of cash. The man walks 100 yards out the front door, gets back in the taxi, and the taxi driver didn't even know he robbed Resorts World.
Oh, how could you?
Yeah.
You don't just announce it to your getaway driver.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, he's like, I didn't notice anything. I didn't think anything was like he was nervous or anything like that.
Right,
like normally you would think like a human element would come
I mean,
out
you're
of
not
somebody.
looking for it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's like also in the cab and he's like looking behind him.
he's just
Nobody's
like,
there.
I
He's
mean,
like, oh my
he's just
God,
like,
am I free?
He's just like motherfucking the guy saying, he better give me a good goddamn tip waiting here out front of goddamn Resorts World like
Say,
an idiot.
Hey, I won a tournament. Got cash.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah, just a million ways to do it. I want to come full circle on this breach of trust, so to speak. It's a problem, right? And I don't know where it gets. In my opinion, it gets addressed at the point one, right? Like, of course, Global needs. I don't want to keep saying Global either because I don't want it to get confused with Global Poker or anything of that sort. Global Payments Gaming Solutions. Of course, they need to tighten up their side. They need to implement 2FA. That's obvious, right?
Yes.
But the people who can put a lot of pressure on them to be better are the actual operators that we're giving our money to. Poker. I don't know if PokerStars uses them or not. I'm sure that they do. BetMGM, WSOP, Borgata, New Jersey, all of these sites, right? They need to be on the phone immediately saying, like, crisis, our consumers are absolutely getting blistered right now for tens of thousands of dollars.
I mean, it seems like over 100K at least.
Might be.
So here's my question: is let's say everything is resolved, they find the guy, they do all the legal stuff, but the money is nowhere to be found.
They'll get their money back way before that.
Who will get their money? Like,
basically,
what if there's no money to be
It's
found?
Well, it doesn't
FDIC
matter.
insured.
It's
Right.
all insured. Basically, all
Exactly.
you have to do is call your bank account. Your bank account, you tell them what happens. They'll put an investigation in, and you'll get your money back within probably like 30 days.
Yeah,
So-
it's not as easy as he's making it sound because this isn't credit card fraud. That's way easier when you just have like unjustified charges because you can. But like for me, for instance, if suddenly this happened, right, and I just have $100,000 of transfers to WSOP.com this year, and then out of the blue, I'm like crying foul about another 10K transfer that went through the same payment processor. They're going to look at me like I have three heads.
Right.
Just be like, well, this is pretty consistent with your depositing. You know, like what the fuck are you talking about? And I'll be like, yes, but it's BetMGM. And I don't play there because I don't live in Pennsylvania or New Jersey.
So then is the payment processor who makes your account whole?
No,
It's
it's the bank. So the bank is insured, right? So the bank's
it.
insured. So when that money gets taken out of the bank, they, file an
You just have
insurance
to
claim,
prove
and they
that-
get the money back, and they give it to you.
You just prove that
It's the FDIC.
something
yeah.
happened, and then they fix the
You don't
bank.
even have to
fixes it.
prove it. They try to prove that you're wrong.
Right. That's the best.
Prove that you're lying.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
why that's why having your money in the bank is good because it's insured.
I mean, it's like the only reason.
Right. No, of course. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the bank's job.
Right. It's
Yeah.
the difference between
False
the
sense of
crypto
security.
world and
FTX.
the fiat world.
Yeah, not your
One
keys,
is
not
insured.
your coins.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, like, hopefully, kind of as Todd mentioned, he's made whole and the other victims are as well. But more importantly, I think that it's incredibly critical that we put upward pressure on these operators to do a better job, right? And to be fair to them, it's not necessarily their fault, right? It's not like they could have necessarily done more due diligence or done better on their side. They just hired a third-party processor. We've seen this in the past, right? With towards the end of the demise of Full Tilt, there was a big issue with the payment processor, and we've seen like NetTeller go down with the UGIA Act in 2006. They had to stop serving America. So we are always at risk. Like, it's not like there's any insurance if this payment processor just collapsed tomorrow. It's not necessarily true that these operators are going to honor our funds. We assume they will, right? But like, if you have a transaction caught up in pending, who knows? And because that risk exists, I think it's very critical that we are vocal and shine a light on these potential security holes and say, like, look, I'm already risking enough gambling with you. I need you to absorb the risk of anything that's taking place at the payment processing level.
Isn't that potentially a reason why when companies have like people try to hack into their system, and if they can find bugs and things of that nature, they pay you?
Yeah, it's called white hat hacking.
Right. So if you find something, instead of going to jail for crime, they actually give you money because you fixed their problem and didn't take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. I think the other thing to mention that's important here is that this happened in a regulated market. And I think that it's important people don't conflate regulated versus unregulated when it comes to like your safety as a consumer. Mm-hmm. I think the assumption is that just because a market is regulated, all of a sudden we have zero risk.
Yeah.
And that's not true, right? Like government bodies are inefficient all the time. Right? There's plenty of areas where we're constantly at risk in regulated markets, and poker is no different. Neither is sports betting and gambling. It's just better than the alternative, right? Again, to Brian's point, it's like banking versus being in the crypto space. There's just tremendously more risk being in the crypto space, and that's kind of the difference between a regulated market and a gray market or a black market, whatever. That's what we see in poker as well. We assume that there will be more stringency around cash outs, deposits, things like that. We assume that there will be more security around collusion and RTA and cheating and things of that nature. But to think that it's just eradicated because there's a governing body overseeing it is insane, right? Like, we know how inept a lot of these governing bodies can be, and we're kind of lucky that Nevada gaming is, kind of S tier. They set the precedent for most gaming because they've been around for decades, right? It's literally only been them in Jersey for as long as we can remember. Yeah. And now a lot of these other states are getting gaming commissions. California is a great example of one that doesn't give a shit, right? I'm serious. Like, there's just no way if this, it's almost for the betterment of everybody, at least for the time being, that like California does not have online gaming, because if this were to occur there, they would just be like, don't care. Yeah. This has nothing to do with us. This was not a gaming infraction. Nothing happened to the house, so we don't give a fuck.
It wasn't a gaming problem. It was successful people that were willing to break the rules.
That's right. And you know what those successful people are? More successful right now.
Yeah.
Richer than they were yesterday.
Well,
they broke the rules.
They broke the rues. They broke the law. And you know what?
Gotta be willing to do it.
Sometimes you just got to be able to skirt the law.
Does anybody have eyes on beans?
Yo, what beans, my man? My man, he's fucking scouring through this thread right now. He's like, so all I gotta do is
all I gotta do is be successful.
I know this motherfucker deposited before. Let me get that soch.
Oh man.
We have a couple other things that we want to cover outside of all the doom and gloom. Go ahead, Connie. What do you got for us?
I want to talk to the fucking our resident NASA expert today, actually.
I can't believe you didn't wear the shirt.
It was dirty. The shirt was dirty. No, this is better.
So what the fuck happened yesterday?
We're sending tortoises to the moon.
We're sending some tortoises up
You're
there.
going to be an astronaut?
I wish.
Wow, we
wish.
should put you through astronaut training.
Yeah, I know. So finally, after the third or fourth attempt, NASA did launch Artemis 1. Play a little clip, Guapo. Let them see that firepower right there.
And here we go.
10.
Hydrogen burn-off igniters initiate. 7, 6, 5. 4-stage engine start. 3, 2, 1. Boosters in ignition. And liftoff of Artemis 1. We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
All 4 RS-25 engines on the core stage and 2 solid rocket boosters now propelling the vehicle at 128 miles per hour.
Only 128.
It's got to start at 0 and then, go from there.
Right? Mission Control Houston.
We got up to. Oh, by the way, we just sent Landon into space. He's gone.
Florida man gets eviscerated in rocket launch.
So this is the first of 3 missions. The first one is unmanned, and it is going to orbit the Earth once or twice, and then shoot out into space, outer space, if you will, and loop around the moon. And it'll be the furthest vehicle that it has the capability to have astronauts in it. The furthest it's gone into space, that we've gone into space.
So what is it doing?
So this is essentially a test mission, right? They want to see if if everything works the way it's supposed to work, if they can get to the moon and then back, and one of the main tests is the heat shield coming back in on re-entry, because they said it'll be about half as hot as the sun when it's re-entering. So they want to test the heat shield so it doesn't, burn up and kill everybody.
It's pretty brutal for the guys on board.
Right. Well, there's nobody on board.
Oh.
Right. So the first 2 missions will be unmanned.
Oh, I
right?
see.
So the first 2 missions are unmanned. Yeah, that's why they're doing a test one. Right. So
wait, how do they remotely control it?
What do you mean?
Like how they're
satellites, man. Satellites.
They're so far
It's
away.
one of those RC remotes. You remember
Yeah.
the RC
Yeah.
racers?
I was about to say,
It's just a really long antenna.
It's a really powerful 9-volt battery.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned this yesterday. You were like, how does like a vehicle move in space? Like how
No,
does
not
it
how. I understand
Right.
how. I said how fascinating is it that it goes 25,000 miles an hour, and like that's not, like, relatively speaking, that's not fast because it's frictionless.
Right.
Right. So it's just moving along.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the second mission, they are going to actually land on the moon. So so it's still going to be unmanned, and they are going to pretty much do the same thing, except instead of just orbiting the moon, they're going to land and then see if they're able to land and then take off and then come back, test the heat shield again. That all goes to plan. The third mission will be bringing humans again back to the moon after 50
And
years.
this is the same rocket that's going. Not
It's the same one. Right, yes.
So what's actually happening is they just fired a couple rockets up into space, and now they're building out the CGI so they can make the movie.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It'd be
It's gonna be way better
Black
this time around.
Yeah,
way
right.
better. 1969, that was weak.
Do you think we went to the moon? Or are you
I have
on
no
a conspiracy?
fucking idea,
You
man.
really?
I honestly don't even entertain like this stuff with stuff.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
either,
I'm
but
pretty
I
sure we did.
definitely wouldn't put it past that we were fucking
It would
sitting
be-
behind a green screen.
God,
in front
it
of a
would be
green
so
screen.
disappointing if that was that conspiracy theory was real.
Well,
but,
what I know is that most conspiracy theories are outlandishly wild and inauthentic, but I'm very much a man of numbers, and there's no shot in hell that no conspiracy theories are accurate. I don't know what
That's
percentage
true.
of them are
Well,
true.
of course,
That
some are
is so
true. Some
true.
have to
But
be
some are true.
Right? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Out of
Distinguished.
all of the conspiracies that have been designed, something had to be real.
Yeah.
Landon has made it back to Earth.
Single shooter my ass.
Yeah. I went to the. I was there. I was at the moon actually. That's where I got the eggshells.
Yeah, we know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Fucking alien.
Eggshell eating motherfucker. Who eats
They're
eggshells?
fine. They're good.
I
in
had another
calcium.
question regarding this,
Oh.
and I don't recall what it was now. But what's the significance of this mission in the sense of like why do they care?
So they're going to. So it's not going to be just like how they landed on the moon. Back in the 60s and 70s. They're going to actually establish like a base there. They're going to be able to do more tests. They're going to learn more about the solar system, learn more about the moon, and then eventually they want to use this as a catalyst to move. Catalyst, the right word? Move to.
Good word.
Yeah, to move to a mission to Mars and beyond, right? Because that's what we do as humans. We explore.
Oh,
and we've explored pretty much all
That's
of
what I
Earth.
wanted to ask.
Yeah.
What's the time duration to go to the moon?
I think we're looking at, if everything goes well, maybe 2025.
Oh, it takes 2 years?
Yeah, it's gonna
Wait.
take because it's
This isn't a
slow
slow
moving
Space
process.
is, space is big.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, yeah,
I'm
this
sorry, I
rocket.
thought-
Like, how long does this mission take?
Couple days.
2 years, my God.
Couple days. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna. Yeah.
And how far away are we from Mars, distance-wise?
Oh.
Not distance, but like time-wise.
In days.
Time wise, I think it's like 8 months it would
Okay.
take to get there, something like that.
Wait, hold on. It is 3 days to the moon in 8 months.
To
Well,
Mars.
the moon's a lot
Yeah.
closer than Mars.
Very,
right?
very much closer.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's in our orbit. It's in our.
The
it's on
moon
our-
is I don't know, 250,000 miles or roughly
Yeah.
from Earth, and Mars is a lot more.
Remember,
90
That's,
million
that's
miles,
insane to me.
Remember, Brian.
90 million miles or something like
If
that.
you shoot for the moon and you miss, you might land amongst the stars.
That's right. That's
Still want
right.
my, still want my $20.
Nice callback.
Well done, yo.
When I get my 20 from Berkey, I'll give that to you.
Oh, we got a double or nothing coming. It's fine.
Fuck, so I have to go through global payments first?
Yeah,
I'll tell you what. When I get all the hundreds off of Conrad that I bet him, I'll pay.
Oh my God, he's never winning any
I'll
of these
shower
bets.
the fucking room with
He's
20.
never winning any of these fucking bets.
It's just it's like we're like just
Giants-
orbiting the moon. This is money's just orbiting the.
I just want my money now, man.
By the fucking way, you motherfuckers. Yeah, you think I didn't listen yesterday? You motherfuckers. Let me tell you something about the goddamn Giants, all right?
All right,
I'm
no
gonna
one
tell you
wants
something
to
about the
hear about the
You see-
fucking Giants, man. You see, like,
Daniel Jones is mid.
listen.
Wait, what?
He's mid.
You're mid.
Mid is generous.
Daniel Jones is top tier, baby.
Do you understand that
He's a
you made a wager with
He's
me?
a thrower.
You made a wager with me at a 1-to-1 odds
Yeah, that's
that
fine.
one specific team would make the Super Bowl in the next 3 seasons.
Yeah, it's fine.
You are so bad at this.
It's
I could've got
fine
odds,
if you
but I
hate
just-
money.
It's fine if you like
I
pick the
win.
Chiefs.
No.
You picked
Giants,
the Giants.
Giants are a lock.
It seems like a good hedge spot for you, though, if you want to get some good money and root with your boy.
Yeah, I mean you're probably right. I
You
could
probably
probably
get like 10 to 1 every
I was
season.
gonna
right?
say, I'm sure I could get
I
like
think-
10 to 1 on the same bet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Conrad, you could have got 2 or 3 to 1 if you wanted.
I could have got more than that. I could have got him for like 20 to 1.
Well,
That
no,
probably
no,
not
not 20.
Conrad's learning lessons, man. You run your mouth, and when the response is "bet me," you need to pause and say,
Yes.
like, "Do I really want to follow through with this?"
No, because I'd do it again right now.
Yeah, all right, man.
Giants are going to the fucking Super Bowl in the next 3 years.
I'm
It's
getting
not-
100 from that. I'm getting 100 from Joe Burrow not making as many Super Bowls as Patrick Mahomes. Oh, I can't wait till he gets traded too. That's gonna be so sick. He's just gonna end up on the
wow.
fucking Jags like by year 5.
If he gets traded to the Jets, that'd be a beautiful thing.
Shut the fuck up.
I can't wait to get 2K from you.
Get out of here, man. I'm gonna posterize your ass. That's gonna be how this dunk bet ends. You're just gonna be standing there
Wow,
like George
are we going to
Mirshaw,
add this
and
into the bet? I'm literally going to dunk on you for the bet.
Your
Wow.
balls out of my
I gotta
face.
get my fucking back healed, man. I don't like this rest.
Neither one of you guys are gonna be able to dunk. I've
Think I could dunk-
come to the conclusion. You're just crying about your fucking back all day. All you do is cry about your back. I can't.
Think I could dunk on an 8-foot hoop?
Yeah.
You're like 60.
Every day that passes, I do think I'm one day further away from dunking.
That's exactly how days work, Matt. Yes.
It feels very bad, man. It feels bad. Like the countdown, the clock is ticking backwards, and I feel like I'm actually regressing each and every day.
Yeah. Every day you don't do
It's scary.
something, you're falling behind.
It is a little bit scary. We got anything else that we wanted to talk about? I thought there was one more thing.
Yeah, it was the stuff that happened in Ukraine and Poland.
Oh yeah, the
yeah.
biggest news of the day that we happened to forget to break
Luckily,
yesterday.
it seems like it's not going to escalate like we thought. So obviously, it's an ongoing situation, but it looks like it wasn't Russia that fired upon Poland. It looks like it was Ukraine that was trying to defend itself because they were taking heavy missiles from Russia. They were firing in defense, and one went awry into Poland. But obviously, they're still blaming Russia because obviously, if Russia wasn't attacking them, then that would have never happened. So, but it doesn't look like it's going to escalate into World War III, so that's good. World War III bad.
World War III, very
so
bad.
Ukraine is not a NATO country, but
Ukraine is not a NATO country, but Poland is. Right?
So
yes.
if Ukraine was to fire that though to Poland, it's still.
It will no because they were firing in defense, and Ukraine is on NATO's side, even though they're not part of NATO.
Yeah, of
NATO's
course.
on Ukraine's side, I should say. So it was more of an accident when they were trying to defend themselves, as opposed to like Ukraine attacking Poland. Which
were there any casualties?
Two.
Yeah, 2 casualties. So,
What-
but this is what happens when this is the thing. The more this war goes on, the more likely something like this can happen, right?
Right.
The more likely that Russia does, whether it's by accident or not, fires into a NATO country, and then if they, enact Article 5, which says, it's a NATO article that says, if you attack one NATO country, then you attack all, and we want your help, and then that's how it can escalate.
Do you know
very fast?
Yeah. Do you know like what type of area that it was shot into? Like, was it really?
It was
close?
a farmland.
Really close.
It hit
to
like
Russia?
a silo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was like 15 miles from the border of Ukraine.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of shooting shots, how the hell does this happen? How? This is so upsetting.
What a hero.
That's
This is
fucking
upsetting.
big
Why is it
dick
upsetting?
Yes.
This should be the most encouraging thing that you've ever seen.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That's one way to look at it.
You just gotta get your comedy game up.
Big
bro.
ups to Staten Island.
Yeah,
Gotta work on that Riz.
he really took fucking Staten Island to a new level with this.
Yep.
That's wild.
How is he pulling that off?
I am a huge Pete Davidson fan.
Do you think that how much of this is just a publicity stunt?
No.
It's gotta. I mean, there's got to be a percentage of it,
Nah,
right?
No way.
No, you think he's just out there just.
Bro, he was slumming it with Kim K.
Well, obviously he's not with Emily Ratajkowski.
Look at this guy's roster. He was slumming it with Kim K.
Did you guys listen to Kanye's episode on Lex Feldman's
I couldn't get
podcast?
through it.
I listened to some of it, but he referenced a couple times how he said that Emily Ratajkowski was the hottest woman in the world, which is
Oh, that's
really
funny.
funny.
That's
Navi
fucking hilarious.
Davidson comes in and starts dating her.
No, that can't be a thing.
Yes, he did.
That
He
can't
said
be a
it.
thing, bro.
Yeah.
That's because he's a genius. He knows what's going on. He's a legend.
Beautiful.
Yo,
Pete is the goat.
if that really happened, Pete is just another type of animal.
Dude.
That's what that comes down to.
That look, respect to that man.
That is another type of
Respect to
animal.
that man.
You add it to the goal. We want Pete on the podcast.
Yes,
He can tell us how he does it.
100%.
Pete, help me, man. Help me, Pete.
Help me.
Help me.
He broke up Kim and Kanye.
Yep.
And
Well,
sort of.
Kanye broke up Kim and Kanye.
Sure, yeah,
but he was there
yeah.
to pick up the pieces.
Yes, sure.
maybe Taylor broke up Kim and Kanye.
Maybe.
Wow.
And then Kanye says Emma's the hottest, and he leaves Kim and goes to Emma. Like, this can't be in real life.
Do we need to remind everybody that he was with Ariana fucking Grande?
Yes.
Yeah.
They
That's
were
what
married,
started it.
right? Were they
No,
married
no.
or engaged
They were-
at least?
She was engaged to Mac Miller,
Yeah.
But they were.
Was
her
she?
and Pete
Really?
Davidson, I think, were also engaged. No.
possibly. Or maybe I have it flip-flopped.
Let me.
This is why we need Michelle on the show because she could.
Yeah.
She could definitely fill us in on all these
Shout out to
details.
Mac Miller, R.I.P., one of
Oh.
Pittsburgh greats.
Ginzer, fellow
Man,
Ginzer.
I'm inspired. I've never been more inspired.
What are you inspired for? Go
Honestly, seeing that is actually a negative thing for me because it just keeps. I'm supposed to be decreasing my standards day after day after day, and seeing this, my standards just go through the roof. It's like, hey, I'm an awkward-looking guy with a sense of humor. Maybe I got a crack at Emily also somewhere down the line.
You gotta,
get out there and
you gotta
shoot your
give
shot, man.
Tortoise the credit. They were engaged. Pete and Ari were
See, I know,
engaged.
listen,
Respect to that man.
Listen.
The Tortoise knows all about the reality.
I'm in there.
the drama.
Pop culture,
Look,
baby.
I gotta tell you, like everybody thinks that it's the athletes of the world and like the billionaires and all these guys. They're the ones getting the ladies. Man, check out the staff of SNL. They're fucking doing okay.
Really? Who else?
Colin Jost married Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, that's right. He did. Yes, I forgot about that.
Let's fucking
I
go,
mean, it's
dude.
very clear that the common denominator here is just be funny.
Yes. Be funny.
Yeah,
Just be funny.
Men are unattractive. I don't care if you're a Greek god. Like,
Shut
we're
your
just-
fucking mouth and don't take my dreams away.
We're gross, man. We're
Don't take my dreams away.
disgusting. Just make somebody laugh.
Right. That's all girls want.
You can do that too.
Yeah, tickle them once in a while, you know? Don't do that. That's so creepy.
That is. God.
You're not helping the cause.
No, that's-
Yeah,
super
man,
creepy.
tickling girls' feet.
I'm not gonna do shit. I ain't doing shit.
No, that's Andre, man. Andre's for sure.
Andre's the one with his feet on the chair.
He is for sure.
I mean, if you can't make them laugh, then tickle them. They'll laugh.
Malaysian fucking feet tickler.
Don't do that.
I don't think any adult wants to actually be tickled.
No.
That's true.
I feel very lucky that at a very young age I stopped being ticklish, but I do remember those days when I was like 5 and 6 where it was just fucking like, who ever thought that was a good idea?
I was about to say that too.
When you think about it, like adults like tickling children, like what a fucking pedo thing to do.
Bad idea.
I think. Well, I mean, I'm sure like the idea of probably like parents for like babies.
No,
like, make
yeah,
them laugh,
I'm over
right?
exaggering so much. It's such an innocent.
It is
Just like you do with every story you ever say about something in the house.
I don't know what you're talking about, Landon.
He's actually right there.
I'm pretty much spot on. Did you eat 4 eggshells like apples?
Yeah.
All right, then
that
I
one's
did my
true.
job.
That one was a real story.
They're all real stories, young man.
Oh.
I
Most
just
of
take a
them
little
about-
creative license.
Most of the ones about you are kind of real.
No, they're not.
They're pretty
They're
real.
partly real.
They're like 90% real, like 10% added.
That's every story. That's a good. That's the mark of a good storyteller.
I don't know if that's true.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Embellishment. You
Right.
think Cuz's stories are fucking spot on accurate?
Yes.
See,
Absolutely.
I said I got to go.
I mean, that's legendary.
Like that.
Yeah.
They said they're playing him $1, $2. I said I gotta go.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah,
that's not what
reality is
actually
boring.
happened.
You got to spice it up a little
That's
bit.
right.
I want to imagine that really did happen because I can see it.
Of
Got
course.
the cigar and the Puma on, getting out of there.
At 18.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're all trying to be Michael Lewis out here writing the next great novel.
that's how you get the girls, man. Funny stories.
That's right. Now you see.
Don't use me as your funny stories when you lie about
Bro,
me.
This is what Berkey does.
the
He uses
content
his friends.
is endless.
Listen, he's been doing it since 5th grade. He uses his friends as the butt of the joke.
Not all my friends, just the ones who make it so goddamn.
No, it's just you. Just you.
Just the ones who make it too goddamn easy. I'm sorry.
Who doesn't make it easy?
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's fair. Skimpy.
Can we?
Sometimes.
I'll fight you.
Okay, that's fine.
we can
That'll be good.
box.
That'll be a great story.
You want to box?
When I win, I'll be the to the victor goes the spoils. I'll be the one who gets to tell the story.
We could be the same weight too.
Okay.
We can box.
Sure.
Don't you guys weigh the same now?
Yeah, we weigh the same, and his reach is like 8.5 inches longer than
I
mine.
have a fucked up back right now.
Perfect.
He's also 60.
I'm gonna turtle your ass. Put him
And
right on the shelf.
Did someone say boxing?
Did someone say boxing?
Box turtle. All right, let's get the fuck out of here, man. I got work to do. Big shout out again to Global Poker. WPT Global, our sponsor for this month. They are running guaranteed seat giveaways to the WPT Championship, home of the World Poker Tour. That will be taking place at the Wynn Las Vegas in December. 3-day ones. We're actually going to be on site, I believe, doing a live podcast from this. So be sure to look out for us if you guys do make it. 8-seat guarantee on Sunday. I'm a bounty for that satellite. So if you knock me out, you get a ticket to play the satellites again, which is obviously great value because there are overlays in each and every one of them. So be sure if you're in a territory where you can play WPT Global that you actually download the app, hop in there, take advantage of some free fucking money.
Yo, I bricked the 16.6% chance to get a seat yesterday.
I saw that.
I couldn't believe. I was like,
Unlucky,
you
man.
motherfucker.
You were the
Shout
next.
out to Jamie though for giving you a chance.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, it's more than
the
I can
sharp
say of anybody
play
else.
would be to sell some of that equity.
What?
Yeah.
You guys
don't
could all
give a
chopped it up.
Yeah, like Conrad's gonna sell some
I'm
of that.
not
equity.
selling shit. Like,
If he won the seat, he wouldn't sell any.
one
of it.
person asked me to
That's
swap, and I said yes.
So you would have.
But that's like small, very
Somebody
small.
asked him to swap. He doesn't have a seat.
No,
Well,
from the
no,
gift
someone
away.
It was on the.
Did they win or no?
You're damn right he did. Let's go, Jimmy!
Jimmy Bluffett.
Shout out to
All
Jimmy.
right. Good
Shout out
job,
to
Jimmy.
He got the seat.
I hope he
Mod
wins
of
the
every
whole thing.
chat ever known to poker.
He's in there. He's always in the mix.
5-ball?
Always in the mix, yeah.
Wow, look at you, young man.
He's got his fingers wet.
Man, you
I
were
got my finger wet.
You were one tick away from being the next one too.
I was so sad.
It was just tick, tick.
I was so sad. I was like, oh no. I didn't think I was going to win, actually, because I took a nap right before, and I woke up, and I just had a dream that Corey actually won the seat.
Right.
So you had
not
a
my
dream.
Corey, the other
you-
Corey.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say you had a dream that somebody that wasn't in the giveaway won the seat.
Somebody that was in the giveaway.
Well, that's how you
sad.
knew Conrad
So-
wasn't going to win because he makes this shit happen the same
Right.
way he did with the mystery
Yeah.
bounty.
But
I
the-
literally knew I wasn't going to win. I was like, I don't feel it today.
But your guy Corey also didn't win either.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. I just understood that I wasn't going to win. I just know my own fortunes. And, like, that's all.
You're the master of your own fortunes.
What
I
can I
hate
say?
this. I hate
Berkey
this.
closed the show.
I hate this
Manifest,
fucking
manifest.
bit. Guys, we're out of here.
If you guys want to learn how to manifest, come to
Come to Conrad's Academy.
Mute his mic. I will not be here tomorrow or Friday. Jamin is going to fill in for me. We're bringing him back on since it's his birthday week. Friday, I believe you guys are going to be rolling solo. You got a few bits lined up. I think Conrad has a couple things cooking in the fire that he's going to roll out for you guys. So I'll be back Monday. I'm going to be playing 100, 200 live at the bike Thursday and Friday. So be sure to tune in and check that out if you would like. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week.
Later.
Peace.
Wait,
Peace.
tomorrow.